What's good everyone, it's SMG here. The CX-9 is gold. It was pretty easy. I managed it in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Really didn't take that long. And there's only really a couple of hurdles I guess you could say you might run into. Especially if you've not leveled up a lot of the other guns to gold, if you're still relatively new to the camos. I'm sure most of you aren't. But we'll run through the class setup I used for the majority of it. Obviously a bit different to Cold War, and SMGs themselves don't require mounted kills, which is a nice added bonus. We'll quickly run through it. As soon as I got the monolithic suppressor, I popped that on purely for the damage boost it gives you. Obviously in Cold War, these suppressors, whilst they may have given you a damage boost within Warzone, don't in-game, so it's a bit different. I do like to have a suppressor on there. I actually prefer the way guns sound with them as well, just personal preference. The barrel, I rocked this one for the large majority of time. This one does come with an integral suppressor, but it does drop down the range a little bit. It gives you, you know, that boost in mobility and control, but this is the one I use for pretty much every single challenge except for the kills without any attachments on the gun. Purely for the damage range, kind of the bullet velocity boost, because as you'll quickly find out, this gun does not pack a punch. It's very fast firing of course, but small mag size and pretty weak at anything past like 10 meters. No laser. I hate the iron sights in this gun, so I put on this mini reflex. It gives you a massive window to look through, so when you're aiming down sights, especially for long shots, you can see what's going on in your peripherals, which is quite nice. Stops anyone creeping up on you. 30 round mag went on as soon as I unlocked that, because good god, this gun is infuriating to play with without, until it gets to long shots, in which case I put these on because the weakness at range is so poor that I would rather have to be super accurate with 3 round bursts than try and hit someone with a normal mag. So I did put them on whilst I did all of my long shots all in one go, but we'll get to that a bit later. And then finally Commando foregrip. There didn't need to be too much change in this. The recoil wasn't unmanageable. I just put it on for something to have on more than anything. Try and boost a little bit of that control at range. Well, that's going to be personal preference for most of you guys. And yes, I did all of this within hardcore shoot the ship, just because it was easier. You could play anything you want really. Any hardcore mode would work for this, any objective based hardcore mode especially. So if you want to play domination, you know, headquarters, it would all work. Shoot house and shipment's just the easy way around it. I'm sure all of you know this, but without further ado, let's jump into the actual challenges themselves. So the first challenge is to kill 250 enemies. If you can't manage this one, I don't think I can help you. You just gotta shoot people. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then it's 50 enemies killed by headshots. This one I didn't actually notice myself doing too much. On some of the guns you might find that you have to like actively focus on it. Yeah, I didn't find myself needing to focus on it too much. I don't think I actually paid an ounce of attention to it. It just kind of comes with the rest of the kills, because the volume of kills required just kind of lends itself to that. If you are struggling, the usual tips apply if you've watched one of these gold guides before, is kill AFK players with a headshot. You know, if the player's not paying attention, kill them with a headshot. If you're really struggling, it either works or it doesn't for you. This is to physically focus on aiming slightly above their head, and more than likely you'll find yourself dragging your aim down to meet their head, as opposed to trying to drag your aim up from the chest, where you're more likely in hardcore to kill them in the chest before you get a chance to even shoot them in the head. Doesn't work for everyone. It's very much dependent on how you play. That's something to try if you really are struggling. I'd be surprised if you do struggle to a point where you know you complete every other challenge and you've got like 40 headshots left. And then it's 40 kills while crouching. Pretty simple. You've got to crouch. You know, if you're trying to do long shots, maybe you're mounted up at the back of shoot house, you can crouch before you mount up on that wall on either spawn, and it will count as a crouch kill. So just little tips like that make things run a little bit smoother. You probably won't notice this one. It'll be within your natural kind of playtime. You will crouch while you kill some enemies. It's just how the game goes. Hipfire kills, I always forget about them. It's been a while since I leveled up any Modern Warfare gun, of course. I had to physically remind myself to hip fire. I took off the sight for that because obviously I don't need it. Made it a little bit snappier, just to kind of speed things up. Obviously you've got a full sender of people, you're not going to get hip fire kills across the map, or you are very rarely, so make sure you are close quarters. Shipment's perfect for this, you'll get it done in, you know, in a good lobby, in a game. In a bad lobby it'll take you a couple of games, it's only 30 kills, you just got to remember to not aim down the sights, tuck that left finger away if you're on console, and don't hold down that ADS. And then you're on long shot kills. This is the trickiest one of the lot purely because of how weak it is at range. Like I said, the hollow point rounds were fantastic for this. Instead of it taking, you know, half a mag to kill someone, you take 3 to 6 bullets. You've got to be very accurate with them, of course, because you essentially only get 4 bursts, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But it is, I found it better that way. I probably did about 10 long shots before I equipped them, and it definitely sped up the process, and it was the sort of thing where I did just have to focus on that and that alone, which I do tend to avoid. I kind of like to multitask when I am unlocking camos, but I did solely focus on long shots, got them done in a couple of games with the hollow point. Definitely worth it, and you can get long shots on shipment as well. You've just got to tuck yourself right off in the corners of the map. It's not pleasant. Maybe focus on hip fire kills for shipment, long shots for shoot house. Levels it out quite nicely then. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. If you don't like the hollow point rounds, you can just use a 30 round mag. Just make sure you're tapping the trigger, you're not holding it down, because the recoil can get a bit spooky when you do that. Then we've got 25 double kills. Shipment's your best friend for this. You know, it caters to either playstyle. You can either get really aggressive in the enemy's face, you know, spawn trapping them, hunting them down, making their lives a misery, or you can sit back a bit more, as you'll see me doing. I had some pretty rough lobbies when I was leveling this up, and my best friend in shipment is a good old deployable cover up on the pallets at the back of one of the spawn corners, and just sitting behind it and just picking people off as they spawn opposite. It's a super easy way to rack up a lot of easy double kills, a lot of kills without dying. It's just easy. It does tend to wind people up, and you know, I do understand why. It's a bit of a scummy thing to do, but I enjoy it. I don't often condone that kind of behaviour, but it's a pretty easy way to get things done. So if you are struggling, don't be afraid to just slow down your playstyle a little bit. And then get kills while your gun is using all attachments for 110 of them. Quite a lot. There's not much I can say. Make sure your gun's got all attachments. Don't, you know, spend ages thinking I've got to get like 110 kills, it'll be super easy, and then realise your gun's only got 4 attachments. I've done that before. Just make sure it's completely full on attachments. There's no real tips there. 25 kills shortly after reloading. The good news is the CX-9 lends itself to this because the mag size is so freaking small. Otherwise, if you know that shipment works really well for this, if you know that you're laid behind one of the barrels, behind, you know, any of the headies by like the forklift, shoot a bullet, reload, pop up, and you'll probably be met with an enemy staring back at you. You've just got to snake up and down behind that cover, and you'll pick it up fairly easily. This is the other one I tend to struggle with on SMGs, and it didn't take that long. It probably took 3 games of me actually like focusing on it. I just knocked it out, and it wasn't that bad. You don't need sleight of hand or anything. I do tend to recommend that. In other SMGs, it reloads quick enough with the 30 mag in that I didn't even consider it, and the reload speed's pretty nice actually on this. Just make sure that you are firing off, you know, a shot and then reloading, and then you'll be good to go. You just got to make sure you're constantly reloading. You get about 3 to 5 seconds. It seems a bit dependent on the gun how long you get, but it shouldn't trouble you too much as long as you are actively reloading. And then you have 75 kills while your gun is using no attachments. This one sucks. First off, make sure you've got no attachments on your gun, and then second off, suffer, because good god, once you've been using attachments you forget how poor the base gun is at anything past 8 meters. Shipment's going to be your best friend. You're going to struggle on shoot house, of course it's possible. It's just going to be like, you might get an average a 25 kill game on shoot house, but average a 50 kill game on shipment. Obviously that evens out in 2 games. It'll probably take you max 2 to 4 games to complete. It's just unpleasant. You've got to be aggressive, you've got to be in people's faces because the gun is so weak at range. So just kind of forget about your KD, go ham, and you should wrap it up and you can move on with your life. And then finally we have kill 3 enemies without dying 25 times. This wasn't hard. I thought it was going to be a bit tricky. I thought I was going to get picked off, especially on shoot house. Luckily I didn't actually get a shoot house rotation when I was completing this. It was the last one to complete, everything else was done. And this is when the deployable cover strategy comes into its own. It means you can keep yourself alive in times where you absolutely should not be alive. You know, you hang on to get that 3rd kill. It's really useful. I'd recommend it personally. People are going to hate you. I wouldn't recommend playing like that kind of day to day, but in order to get like a focused task done, I'd recommend playing like that if you are struggling to get kill 3 enemies without dying. You know, shipment's manic enough that you'll pick up a triple kill without even noticing without doing that. It's personal preference. If you are struggling, you know, there's a suggestion for you. And there you have it, gold and platinum, which looks far better than the gold on the CX-9. It's a pretty easy gun. It's like a nice little starter gun to get gold camo on. Shame it came released like almost 2 years after the game. As always though guys, if you did enjoy the video, give it a like, subscribe if you want to find your way back. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.